I chose to formula feed. I think that led up to my postpartum because of everything on social media. You are mom shamed. You are basically said, oh, you're not a good mom if you don't breastfeed.
Today I have a special guest. Her name is Anisha, and she's also my sister. It's a very important topic, I think, for a lot of mothers. She's going to be talking about postpartum. I myself is not a mother, but she experienced postpartum during her first child. So Anisha, tell me about your story and your experience through postpartum.
Postpartum is something that a lot of people don't recognize or don't want to talk about, only because I feel like they think moms are weak when they start talking about it, or there's not much like resources or support, maybe more now. But when I was pregnant with my first child 2 years ago, I feel there was minimum support. My experience was pretty bad. Every mom is different. So I'm going to talk about my experience. When it comes to postpartum, I started breastfeeding. That just wasn't working out for me. Go on social media and you see all these pages, breastfeed, it's healthy for your child. So it all got into my head that I needed to breastfeed. And it got to a point where I was stressing out so much that my milk supply just started dying. And I had to choose either make my child happy or just struggle and make her unhappy. So I chose to formula feed. I think that led up to my postpartum because of everything on social media. You are mom shamed. You are basically said, oh, you're not a good mom if you don't, breastfeed. You have to make sure she's healthy, give her all the nutrients. She's 2.5 now, eats about everything. I feel like if I knew what I knew today, 2 years ago, I could have helped with my postpartum, but I started to resent her. It's sad to say, but that's my experience because I associated her with just my boob and I didn't have that bond with her. It was just, okay, she wants me just to eat. My husband's in the military. So once he went back to work, I felt like I was alone. I had no one to turn to. When I went on social media, I felt like, oh, she's not hitting her milestones. Is she delayed? All that creeps up on you. And then it just makes you feel like a bad mom. Your hormones are all out of place and you just have this rage, this frustration, this irritation where you just want to lash out. You could try to help it. It's just so hard to calm down. Do you need help? My opinion, yes, therapy or medication, which I'm not 100% for, but yes, I had to start taking Zoloft and that helped me a lot. While I was going through this, the main person obviously was my husband because he lived with me. I would break down, just start crying for no reason. I didn't want to be a mom, even though I dreamed about being a mom for so long that when I became a mom, I feel like that's not what I wanted to do. Like I just wanted to disappear. I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I was so anxious that I didn't want my husband to go to work. Like I just want him to stay home with me. And now here we are 2.5 years later with my second baby, completely different outlook because I sought help while I was pregnant already with my second child.
Do you think if you knew about postpartum when you were pregnant of your first child, it would have helped you?
100%. I would have started maybe like a medication, Zoloft, beforehand. I would have sought therapy during my pregnancy because whatever you go through during pregnancy, if you have like a traumatic experience, once you give birth, that kind of catches up to you. So like, yes, I was alone. Like COVID hit. I didn't have a baby shower. I couldn't be around my family a lot. So I went through my first pregnancy practically alone just with my husband. And when you're pregnant, you want that like catered to. You want your family to like come visit you. I do live in North Carolina, which is far from my family. And with COVID going around, it was just everything was so restricted. So I felt alone. And if I knew that postpartum was going to get to me, I totally would have sought help from the beginning. I didn't know how severe it could be because it's not spoken much about. Now you see a little bit more moms like posting like, oh, postpartum and like having breakdowns and stuff. But I felt like at the time that I did it, it was just looked down upon. Like I was weak. Oh, well, you wanted this kid or this or that. Yeah, it's true. I did. I wanted a child and I still do. And I love her unconditionally. It's just my hormones were out of whack and there's so much that goes on in your body. Mom guilt, mom shame, everything changes. Your world just changes. and you fall into a rock bottom.
I don't think you could actually control it because obviously you just had a baby, your body's all messed up with the hormones and everything. And I don't think people understand. They're not educated on it. So you go to someone and talk about it. And like you said, you get mom shamed. You'd be like, just get over it. And it's not that simple. And that's one thing that people need to be careful with is the way that they talk to people. And especially, this is a very, very sensitive topic, especially for mothers and fathers. Fathers also go through this. I'm not sure if your husband went through it, but I am pretty sure not only moms, but dads also go through it. And dads don't talk about it at all.
My husband definitely went through postpartum with the first one and the second one, and he was open about it to me, but not to anyone else. So yes, fathers definitely go through the postpartum blues because their role changes. I was not able to talk to anyone because I felt like I was being judged. So yes, I felt mom shame. You wanted her. So what's the matter? Get over it. Couldn't control it. I thought I could. I would do meditation, breathing exercises. I turned to oils, postpartum oils, depression oils, and that helped a little bit, but to a certain extent. There was times that I would wake up in the morning and I was anxious to go get her. What am I going to do with her today? It's just feelings you can't control. And I honestly, I don't think people get it unless you go through it. It's very easy to say, get over it. She's your child. Just be a mom. But remember, once you're a mom, everything changes. Your whole world just becomes about the child and you have to adjust. And sometimes some moms are better at adjusting than other moms, and that's okay.
I feel like the first ones are the worst because it is your first child and you don't know how you're going to react.
Yeah, you're learning. I mean, being a mom doesn't come with a guidebook like this is what you have to do. Yeah, social media, I'm going to be very honest. I think that was a huge reason that I got postpartum because you're looking at milestones. You're looking at moms saying, oh, my child sleeps through the night. Oh, but wait, my child doesn't. Is there something wrong? You're looking at sleep training. You're looking at, oh, well, my child is in the 90th percentile. Oh, well, mine's only in the 30th. So you start questioning all these things as if you're doing something wrong, and you're not. Every mom is different. Every child is different. My first child and my second child, night and day. Two different things, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm doing the same thing I'm doing with both. I have to adjust a little more with the second one, and that's okay. Did I get help? Yes. I started Zoloft at 7 months pregnant, so that by the time I gave birth to him, it would have kicked in and my hormones would have been a little bit more balanced, which is what happened. I did not go anywhere near the postpartum that I did with my first one. And my advice to all the ladies out there, seek help 100% if you're feeling any symptoms, anything, just seek help. That's all. Don't feel like, oh my God, they're going to judge me. Like, no.
I want to go back to 2 points you made. Number one is breastfeeding. And then number two is feeling resentment of your child. So I was with Nisha when she was with her first child and she was going through postpartum, which I didn't know that was postpartum, and the breastfeeding. I honestly got traumatized. I don't understand why women and mothers, social media in general, just put so much pressure on breastfeeding. She was in pain, she was miserable, and she didn't give the attention that Nala needed, which was her first child. I saw her boobs. And to me, honestly, my honest opinion, I don't want to breastfeed. I don't want to go through that. I know people are going to be like, well, I need to do this and you need to give nutrition. Listen, she's formula fed and the girl is fine. All three of us got formula fed. So I don't understand why breastfeeding is such a big deal.
Well, a lot of women believe that when you breastfeed, you have this bond with your child, which I do agree if you have a positive experience with it. I unfortunately had a not positive experience. So when I thought of my first child, I resented her only because I was in so much pain and I knew she needed me and my nipples were bleeding and I put cream and I did all these things that everyone told me to do and I just could not get her to latch on. She was jaundiced, so obviously she wouldn't suck as much as like maybe a kid that didn't have jaundice. That could be a reason why. Maybe if she wasn't jaundiced, I would have had a better experience, but I learned that fed is best. Either she was going to lose weight by being on my boob and I wasn't giving her what she needed, or she was going to gain weight on formula and I was able to see how much much she was eating. So you could create a bond with breastfeeding and without breastfeeding. I breastfed. I did not create a bond. Once I put my foot down and I said, I don't want to breastfeed, my husband was 100% on board. I had a completely different experience with her. I was able to sleep a little bit more at night because I didn't have to pump every 2 hours. And you have to remember, sleep deprivation also causes postpartum. You're not getting your 8 hours of sleep anymore, 6 hours straight. You're up every 2 hours. You're just on constant like go, 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 no sleep. Like I have to do this, I have to do that. So that all catches up to you and then you just break down. And that's where postpartum comes into place. If you have postpartum blues, that's usually what happens right after you give birth. Postpartum depression, give or take about a month and a half in. So if you experience symptoms a month and a half in or two after you give birth, irritation, frustration, you're lashing out, you're just in a rage, you most likely have symptoms of postpartum, and it's okay to reach out 100%. You can even reach out to me. I'm willing to talk about my experience in more depth. I'm all ears, vent. Don't keep it to yourself because you could do something that you will regret and you don't want to do that.
Just a disclaimer, we are not medical professionals.
No,
so if you do need medical professional, please seek your doctor or therapist. We are just talking about our experiences and what Nisha went through. But like she said, you can always reach out to her because she's a good listener.
So easy to talk to someone that actually went through it than talk to someone that like is listening but doesn't really understand what you're going through. So many moms, after I started sharing my stories, they were like, wait, I think I had postpartum depression then because this is how I felt. Oh, but I didn't seek help. And then someone else messaged me, I didn't want to be a mom and, that's what I wanted to be my whole life. Like, is that normal? Like, yeah, 100%. It is normal. Doesn't mean that you don't love your child. It just means your body's going through something and you need help to get past it. Till today, 2.5 years later, I'm still seeking therapy once a week.
And also being resentful towards your child. You know how you see on the news kids left behind in the car or mothers strangling their kids, and then you see that people are mom shaming them. Oh, they're such bad moms. But in reality, I think they go through postpartum and they just don't talk about it. They don't seek help. And then this is what happens. So I think we should get like some education, especially the media and social media, to stop mom shaming. I know you resented Nala, but do you want to share a story that you kind of went to the extreme?
Yes. I never really shared. The only people that really know is my husband, obviously, because if I put it out there, I'm going to get mom shamed no matter what. But it got to a point where she just would not stop crying. I did everything and anything. I fed her, changed her diaper, burped her, tried to put her to nap, and she would just cry and cry and cry. I didn't know if she was colicking. So it got to a point where I shook her and I had to call my husband. And so he can calm me down. And he said, put her down, walk away, take a minute. Even though she was crying, I still got myself together and then went back and was able to cater to her. So if I didn't seek help, I don't know what else I could have done, but at least I caught myself and I was like, this is not normal. I cannot just shake my child. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people have heard baby shake syndrome, babies die from it, and it gets to that extreme. So I had to take a step back, speak to my husband. He calmed me down, took a breath, went back in, held her, and just said, can't keep doing this. And that was okay, let me get help. What's my next step? And that's what I did. That same day, I reached out to a therapist and went from there.
It's really good that you actually seeked help because a lot of moms out there don't. And this is an advice to all moms. If you are or you think you're going through postpartum depression, seek help and it's okay.
Yeah, you're not weak. In my opinion, I feel like you are actually strong in wanting to get better, just being a better mom for your child and be a better mom for you. You can't be a good mom to your child if your mental health is not okay. Once your mental health is stable, you're going to be the best mom you can be to your child. We all make mistakes. I've made plenty and I still continue to make mistakes, but I will do anything for my kids and I continue to do it. She's 2.5. I experienced what I experienced with her. That's in the past. I got help and I still get help. So my advice is any little thing, irritation, frustration, it can build up. So you had one bad day, okay, cool. But one bad day, the next day is a bad day, and then it's another bad day. That means you probably need to seek some help. Even if if it's a family member, a friend, vent to someone. And I feel like you'll feel better.
And talking about it.
Yes.
This topic, they don't talk about it at all.
Yeah, I kept my story for about a year to myself. And then I felt like there was a lot of friends around me that were having babies all at the same time. So I opened up. And the first time I opened up, I got plenty of messages like, I didn't know you're going through that, or I went through the same thing and I never told anyone, or I never seeked help, or are you okay? And it's just like a lot of people don't check up on moms. They check up on the babies. Hey, how's your baby? But they don't say, hey, how are you? Are you okay? Are you feeling some type of way? Not only check up on the baby, of course, but check up on your new moms and see how they're doing and if their mental state is okay, or if you can help. Hey, I can come by and like babysit for an hour if you need to go take a shower or something. That always helps. I'm alone. I don't have anyone. So that was also hard. But now, I feel strong and proud of where I've gotten to with both my kids.
It's the little things in life that you don't realize, that you take for granted when you don't have a kid. Like you said, taking a shower or eating
hot food, which I don't do anymore.
Oh, you could take a nap when he takes a nap or when she takes a nap. Doesn't really necessarily work like that.
You can, but then it's like, how is the house going to get in order? How are you going to do your laundry? Who's going to do the dishes? Like, you still have all this other thing piling up, so you can't just nap when they nap. If you really had a horrible night, do it. Take time to yourself, go nap. But people think it's easy. Like, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom. Like, you just probably sit down on your ass all day and watch TV. Like, no, that's not true, because the laundry doesn't do itself. Dishes don't do itself. And another thing about postpartum is your body changes. I'm already overweight. I gained a lot of weight. Why? Because I don't have a schedule. You have a newborn, you're adjusting. So then you're like, society wants your body to go back to normal. And you're like, how can I do that? So then you have that on top of everything else. It's a lot of factors after birth that I don't think a lot of people understand.
Exactly. And especially if you're a stay-at-home mom, you guys don't get any credit. Just because you have a 9-to-5 job doesn't mean that you're better than a stay-at-home mom. Stay-at-home mom work as hard and the work is not seen.
No, our work isn't seen because you just think like, oh, okay, she just kept her son or her daughter alive this time. But no, there's other things that I do throughout the whole day. And I'm not going to sit here and like flaunt it, but it's what I do. I wake up, I do my whole schedule from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to sleep. It's nonstop, other than my little break here right now.
I grew up with a stay-at-home mom. Now my sister's a stay-at-home mom. And honestly, I work from home. So I'm not a stay-at-home mom, but I work from home. It's hard to be in your house all the time and not have a social life. At least if you go to an office or something, you're talking to other people, you're socializing. And I think that can create another factor if you don't have a group of friends around, especially if you move. Like Nisha, she moved to a different state and then she had a baby. So she was able to create that group of friends.
No, I had one good friend and then she moved back home, but she would come over and she's the one that introduced me to essential oils and she helped me when she knew that I was going through postpartum. So it was just that one friend. Probably would have been better or a different if I was back in Jersey and I had friends come over like, hey, let's have girl time or something like that. Probably would have helped a little bit, but I was in my four walls. I wouldn't go out with Nala. I was a first time mom. I was scared of going out. I don't know why, but I was constantly like anxious. So I didn't have anyone to talk to. I was literally going through postpartum, no one to speak to, in my house, losing my sanity.
And we got expressed to talk to people. Please.
100%.
If you moved and you don't have friends or family around, just seek help, talk to people, talk to anyone, honestly.
And that's when I started doing Instacart as well. And that helped me. So I was taking Nala after I started getting better for my postpartum. Started taking Nala with me, doing Instacart, Uber Eats. It got us both out. It got us to talk to people. She was able to see different faces other than just mine. Do the same thing with my second one. I started taking him for Instacart.
And now that you know what postpartum is and you experience it with your first child, how is it different with your second child now that you're more educated?
If I know that I'm experiencing a postpartum symptom, I take a step back. Zoloft saved me by going on it when I was pregnant. And it's safe to go on it when you're pregnant. I spoke to my therapist, my 2 doctors. They said that's not a problem. So if I didn't know about postpartum or I didn't experience it with Nala, then I wouldn't know to go on Zoloft. And that probably would have been bad. But because I already knew, I jumped on it and I was like, okay, let's continue therapy. therapy and let's continue Zoloft. That's what helped me during my second one. And if I am frustrated, like I know I'm like experiencing some type of postpartum, walk away, go to the bathroom, take a deep breath, and come back out. I'm like, okay, let me regroup back with him. It's okay to be frustrated. I mean, kids are annoying sometimes, so that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We were all annoying to our parents.
Do you want to add anything else that you think that will inspire moms or dads?
Especially dads, I feel like they definitely go through postpartum blues. They go through postpartum depression. They think that, they detach themselves. It's easier for them to detach themselves from the kids and the moms sometimes because either they probably go to work and the moms stay home with the kids at the beginning. So they also need to open up. It's okay to go to therapy. I know a lot of guys don't, want to do that. My husband seek therapy and it helped him a lot. And I can't stress it enough that if you feel alone or like you have symptoms of postpartum anything, definitely just reach out. Like, you are who you are. You're going to be the best mom to your kids. And in order to do that, you want your mental health to be at 100%. And that's how you're going to be the best mom to your children.
You're not alone. You're worthy of being a mom.
Yes, every mom out there is doing the best they can and you're surviving, and that's already, great.
Thank you so much, Nisha. It was great talking to
Thank you.
And I hope your babies are good and continue your journey on being a mom.
They're healthy, they're good. Don't feel pressure to breastfeed. If you need a formula feed, go for it. I'm proud of where I am. I went through postpartum, but here we are. Keep on just waking up every day and being the best mom you can to your kids.